everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Jill and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in February and a few books that I want to get to in March. So let's get started. I ended up reading a total of 7 books in the month of February, which I think is pretty darn good considering that February is a shorter month. I will say a few of these books are books that I had to read for school, but they added up to the total number nonetheless. So I'm just gonna get right on into it. So the first book I completed in the month of February was A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. I finally read this book. So a few months ago I decided that I was going to reread the first book in this series, An Ember in the Ashes, so that I would be completely caught up so that I could read this book, and I never read it. I just kept putting it off and putting it off, but I finally read it. And it was so amazing. I loved it so much. So if you don't know, the story of An Ember in the Ashes is sort of a retelling slash it's set in this world based off of ancient Rome, and it's just so cool. And it follows these two different characters, Elias, who is basically this like born soldier kind of guy, and then also it follows this girl named Laya, and her family was basically all killed because they were labeled as traitors, and so now she's on the run and she basically comes in contact with this rebel group and she joins them, and it's so good. And this book was no exception. I loved it like so much more than the first book, and I just can't wait to see where this series goes because it has so much wonderful potential, because we got a little bit of magic in this book. Overall, I obviously really enjoyed this. The next book I completed in the month of February is now one of my favorites, and that is Wires and Nerve, which is, the story is written by Marissa Meyer and the art is done by Doug Holgate, I think that's how you say it. Anyway, this is the graphic novel that's based off of the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer, and it was beautiful. I loved it so much. I was not really expecting to like this because I haven't had the best relationship with graphic novels. I only read one and I honestly didn't enjoy it, so I wasn't expecting to enjoy this graphic novel. I will say the art has a little bit to be desired. I feel like the art style could have been so much better, especially for the Lunar Chronicles series, but I still thought it was really cute. This story just made me squeal. Basically, this takes place as a sort of sequel to the Lunar Chronicles, so definitely don't read this unless you read the entire series. And it was so beautiful. We literally get to see every single character from the Lunar Chronicles. We get to visit them and see how they're doing, and it just warmed my heart so much to be able to see all of my precious babies again, because I miss the characters in the Lunar Chronicles so much. I have such a deep love for all of them. After I finished Stars Above, I didn't think that I was gonna ever be able to see them again, but in this book we got to see them again, and they were so precious. And now I have to wait a year for the next book, and there was a huge cliffhanger at the end of this book, and I need the next one like now, and I need Kai and Cinder and everyone to just be okay. And next up, I finally read A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. So this book is an adult fantasy novel that takes place in this world where there are parallel Londons, and it follows this guy named Kel, who is one of only 2 people who can travel in between these different Londons. So he basically acts as a messenger of the royal family of the Red Magical London, and so he goes from place to place. And it also follows this badass girl pirate named Lila Bard, who I just loved with all my heart, and they basically are forced to go on this magical adventure. I'm not gonna say what it is because that's kind of a huge spoiler, but yeah, anyway, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was magical. I think that this series has so much potential, and I'm just so excited to see where this goes. Like I said, I loved Kel. I also I think my favorite character was Rai, because he's just such a sweetheart. Magic was so cool. This book has blood magic in it, and I love the concept of blood magic. Anyway, I am so excited to see where this series goes as it continues. Next up, I have a book that I read for school, and that is the 3 Theban plays by Sophocles, and this includes Antigone, Oedipus the King, and Oedipus at Colonus. And this is basically 3 Greek tragedies, and I actually really enjoyed this book because I've only ever read either Shakespearean plays or sort of like modern plays. I've never actually experienced these Greek tragedies. They were so gory and bloody, and I just really enjoyed them. They were super interesting. Next up, I ended up completing Frostblood by Ellie Blake. Every single time that I talked about this book on my channel, I would always mention that the summary sounded really generic. Basically, it follows this girl named Ruby, and she is a fireblood, which means that she can control fire, but Frostbloods are ruling the land, so she has to like rise up and rebel and all that stuff, so it doesn't sound extremely different, but I was assured by so many of my friends that it was different, that it was wonderful, but overall, even though the cliches weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, they were still there. They were still there. So this book wasn't my favorite. I've sort of seen this story before a bunch, so I don't really know. Like, I honestly don't really even remember what happened in this book. It was kind of extremely forgettable for me, so I think I might pick up the next book just because I am sort of intrigued to where this is going to go, but overall it just wasn't anything special in my opinion. Next up is another book that I read for school, and this one's a really short one. It is Aristotle's Poetics, obviously by Aristotle. Basically, Aristotle talks about the formula for making a great tragedy and that kind of stuff. It was interesting. I now sort of read books a little bit differently, or sort of look for different things in the books that I read now after reading this, but yeah, overall it was pretty interesting. The last book that I completed in February is the one that you guys are probably all waiting for, and that is King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. Like I said in my previous wrap-up and in all the videos that I talk about the Red Queen series, the Red Queen series is not my favorite thing in the world. The main characters are pretty annoying to me. I honestly didn't enjoy the story, but I had to read this book for book club, so I read it. And guess what? I didn't hate this book. What? That's like crazy. I didn't hate this book. I actually kind of enjoyed it, which is strange for me. It's such a weird experience for me to like a Red Queen book, but I thought it was really good. This book takes an extremely dark turn compared to the other books. It's very like psychological, and I will say like the first like 200 pages of this book I was really annoyed. It was going really slow. I wasn't really buying the events that were happening in it, but like I sort of took a step back. I found that I was actually being affected and that I was feeling what Mare was feeling, like the psychological like crazy things that were happening in her brain. I started to like, once I stepped back, I was like, I'm starting to feel that, which was really great for this book to make me feel things. And then when the action started, the action was fantastic, and then after that it was like smooth sailing. It was like really, really wonderful. I thought like the last quarter of this book was fantastic. I was like, finally I care about these characters, because you have no idea. I've been wanting to like this series. I've been wanting to care about these characters so much, and I just couldn't connect to them, but finally at the end of this book I felt connected to them, and it broke my heart. The end of this book, if you got into it, oh my god, it like broke my heart so much. So anyway, I was just like on cloud 9. I think I gave this book 4 stars because I was just so excited that I didn't hate it and that I actually felt connected to these characters who I've been wanting to love, but now I finally love them. And there's going to be a 4th book. I know in like every single one of my videos I always say that this is the conclusion to the Red Queen series. It's not. There's going to be 4 books. And I'm just really excited. I will definitely probably read that book just to see how it all ends. I will say that Mare was still slightly annoying by the end of this book, but I was able to sort of overlook that because all of the other great things that were happening. And yeah, so I'm just so happy that I liked this. So those were all the books that I completed in the month of February. Now I'm going to talk about just a few books that I have to get to in March. So I will start off with the book that I am currently reading, and I am currently reading A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is a sequel to A Darker Shade of Magic, and I'm reading this because I'm actually meeting V.E. Schwab on Thursday for her event for A Conjuring of Light, and I'm just so excited and I want to continue on with this series. I actually like technically haven't started yet. I got to like page 2 or so, but but I'm just so excited because I've heard this book is like so much better than the last one, and I really enjoyed the first book, so I'm excited. Next up is a book that I have to read for one of my book clubs, and that is The Valiant by Leslie Livingston. And all I know about this book is that it follows a female gladiator and that it's pretty badass. Sign me up. That sounds freaking amazing. I'm excited. The next book that I have to read for book club is Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. Wow, I butchered that. I am so sorry. All I know about this book is that it follows a badass girl pirate, and I guess there's like this romance that's really steamy in it, and I'm just excited for it. I'm hoping to get my hands on it very soon, and the cover is really pretty, and it just looks like it's going to be a very exciting time. The next book that I have to get to in March is actually the book that I'm going to be reading this week in school, and that is Othello by William Shakespeare. I'm so excited to be reading more Shakespeare finally. I haven't read any Shakespeare since the fall, and I'm feeling withdrawal. Wow, that rhymed. Honestly, do not know this story at all, so I'm like basically going in blind, which is just so exciting. I love Shakespeare, guys. Couldn't tell, I love Shakespeare so much. And finally, a book that I want to make a priority to read this month is I want to reread A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So, if you guys don't know, the third and final book in this series, xoxo, is coming out at the very beginning of May. That third book is my most anticipated book of all time ever, and so I want to be in the mode. I want to have known all the details from these books, so I'm going to be rereading the first two books in this series over the next 2 months so that I can be ready for xoxo. So I'm hoping that I can get to this one in March and then Akamath in April, and then I will be nice and ready for xoxo in May. I'm so excited, guys, and to like just think about being back in this world just makes me so happy. And anyone out there who has not read these books yet, please read them so that you can be ready for xoxo. If you need like any motivation, I'm going to be completely in the zone reading these, so if you want to reread them or if you want to read them for the first time, you can this month, and then you can DM me on Twitter or Instagram or something, and we can chat about them if you want to. I'm just so excited to be back in this world, you have no idea. So there you guys have it. That was my February wrap up and little March TBR. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to be notified when I post new videos, and I have my Goodreads Twitter, Bookstagram, and personal Instagram all linked down below if you guys want to follow me on those platforms. And please comment down below what your favorite book that you read in February was, or a book that you really want to get to in March. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. I will see you later in another video. Bye!